So it has been an absolute logjam in the Eastern Conference wildcard race. 5 or more teams are separated by either 1 point or they're tied in the race right now. It is just an absolute logjam in that Eastern Conference wildcard race. But I would be stupid not to talk about what's going on in Montreal right now because the Canadiens are lighting up the entire league, if I'm being completely honest, and they might make a big case at making the playoffs this year if things do keep up. Now, keep in mind, it is January, and again, as I said, there's a lot of teams there that are battling for that wild card spot, but it's very possible that Montreal could be that team that breaks in. So far this year, they are 19, 18, and 3 for 41 points. They are only 1 point out of the wild card. Literally yesterday, before the games happened, they were in that wild card spot. They are 8-2-0 in their last 10. We're going to go through those last 10 games, but it has been a remarkable run for the Montreal Canadiens, going on what is just an unbelievable road trip and almost winning out. They went 4 out of 5 on that road trip. That's insane. So, first off, where this really good run started was with the Buffalo game. The Buffalo game that I commentated on this YouTube channel, they beat the Sabres 6-1 in an absolute outing. Patrick Laine had an incredible game, scored a hat trick. It was one of the more remarkable games we saw from Montreal this season. Reminder, Laine is on the hat trick watch. Laine is shot, he scores! The hat trick for Patrick Laine! 5-1 Montreal. They played Detroit on 2 back-to-backs. At a home and home, which felt a lot like last year, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. And they not only win the first one, they win the second one too. They beat the first one 4-3, and then they win the very next day 5-1. Do you have any idea how hard it is to go from a back-to-back essentially against the same team, with travel included? Again, that's not that big of a travel, but still at the same time, it's hard to win 2 in a back-to-back, in Montreal did that, and I thought that was really impressive. So that's 3 in a row. Then they dropped the one before the Christmas break to the Columbus Blue Jackets, 5-4. Again, a very controversial game in some parts, and with the things that happened with the Blue Jackets and all that. I don't want to get into that because that's not the point of this video. But yeah, they lost that game 5-4. I'm sure they wish they would have gotten that game, but the run that they would go on after that was insane. They first off won 4-0 in a shutout against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. Jacob Dobbs, we'll get into him in a little bit. He had a shutout in this game in his NHL debut. He looked remarkable. The following day, again, on another back-to-back in Tampa, again, 2 very good teams, they defeat them 5-2. 5-2. Not like a close game, 5-2. That is insane. It is remarkable how they will be able to go from the defending Stanley Cup champions to a still very good Tampa Bay Lightning in the same weekend. That is simply remarkable. Then they go out to the West Coast. They play Chicago. They lose 4-2. They had a lot of shots on net. They outshot the Blackhawks, I think. And, it just didn't end the way they wanted it to, which sometimes things like that happen. Then they go and play Vegas. And Vegas was a very interesting one. They won that one 3-2. Remarkable. That is, if you're not keeping track, that is 3 of the last 5 Stanley Cup champions. And I'm not even done yet. They go into Colorado. They beat them in a shootout. Insane. It's simply remarkable. That's what? The 2020 and 21 champions, the 2022 champions, the 23 champions, and the 24 champions in the span of 10 days? That is remarkable how they've been able to put this together. And keep in mind, too, that's with travel included. This was all on the road. This was not any home games in there either. It was all on the road in 4 different time zones. It's actually, remarkable that they went 4 for 5 on that road trip. Then they come back home. You would think they'd be a little bit tired against Vancouver. They start off running. It goes to overtime, but Nick Suzuki scores the winner. Remarkable. I watched that game. Lane Hudson had a 3-point night. He looked terrific. We'll get into him in a second here. But yeah, those are their last 10 games. It has been just truly a amazing run from this team. And I'm not even a Canadiens fan. I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. And just watching what the Canadiens have done has actually made me want to root for them, to be honest with you. They have been so much fun to watch. It's great. It's honestly great. So we'll get into the individual numbers here now. Starting off with Nick Suzuki. Suzuki this season has 12 goals, 29 assists for 41 points. Again, just such a snub from the Four Nations. We know what Suzuki is. We know he's that really talented two-way where he provides offense but also is good on the other end as well. He's terrific. He is one of their best pickups that they've had in a while. He has been remarkable. Cole Caulfield. Caulfield this year has finally found a way to score and has been scoring consistently because you guys will know that me and other people have criticized Caulfield about how, he's never got into that goal scoring plateau that we thought he was going to. And last year, he works on some things that, he needed to work on in the offseason and during the season last year, which limited his goal count. But so far this year, 22 goals, 16 assists for 38 points. It's remarkable. He is on pace for, I think, almost 40 goals. That is honestly terrific. He has looked remarkable as well for the Canadiens too. And again, not only is he scoring, he's moving the puck as well. And I think that, again, last year, kind of taking that year to further evaluate some things, I think really benefited him this year. And we've seen what he can really be. Next up then, Jake Evans. I'm going through the forwards first. If you're wondering where Lane Hudson is, I'll get to him in a second. But Jake Evans so far this year, 10 goals, 13 assists for 23 points. Evans is like a bottom six forward at best, and he looks like somebody who a playoff team could give up like a second round pick for. He looks like one of those kind of players that if Montreal wanted to move on from them, they could get a decent haul. I mean, it depends on what is out there and how badly somebody would want him. But I do think as well as that too, I like Evans. I love how he's been this season. He's become a very creative, grit style, fourth line player. And I think that, a team, a playoff team could want a guy who could score, maybe 5 or 6 goals in the playoffs on a cup run. I don't know. We'll have to see there. Again, that depends on if Montreal really wants to trade away players. And again, this is the video where I'm saying, could the Canadiens make the playoffs? I'm talking about trade. Yeah, anyways. But Evans has been really good this year. Next up then is one that I'm not too impressed with this year. Juraj Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky, 4 goals, 18 assists for 22 points. I wouldn't be honest with you guys if I wasn't saying that he's been struggling. It hasn't been the best year from him. And, he signed that extension in the summer. I thought it was a good extension. I thought it was a really good deal. I still think it can be, but this year's been a bad year for him. And again, I think that overall it takes some time. First off, players go through slumps. It takes time for some people to develop. Slafkovsky has really good talent, really good potential that he can be a legitimate top 6 forward. And I think that for sure, he has that potential. And I also want to say, too, a lot of what Slafkovsky did last season, that really good, stretch he went on, was in the second half of the season. And the season, again, is far from over. We're only halfway done. So it's possible that in the second half of the year, Slafkovsky picks it up and goes on an incredible run. Not putting it past it whatsoever. I think that's more possible than not, to be honest with you. Next up, Joel Armia, 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points. He's been solid this year for the Canadiens. Good, fourth line player. He's put up 7 goals. I don't think you can really complain that much there. Emil Heineman, if you guys watched my Calder Trophy ranking video, I had Heineman in there. Not a top 5 pick, but he's playing fourth line minutes and has 10 goals, 7 assists for 17 points this year. He has been phenomenal. He was somebody who I was not looking at that much in the depth chart and was just a fourth line guy in my eyes, but has been really good this season for the team. And who knows, maybe when the team is better in the future, when Demidov comes over, when Michael Hayes and, Lane Hudson fully develops into what we know he can be, who knows? I think that he could be this team's third or fourth line player when this team's a contender. We'll have to see though. Again, this is just me speculating. Brendan Gallagher, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points. Again, Gallagher's been there for a very long time, still putting up consistent offensive numbers. Josh Anderson, it's not been great. 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. Kirby Dach, I just feel for Dach, he's had too many injuries, and it's really stalled him from being able to consistently play. 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. And then, yes, I will talk about him. Patrick Laine has 8 goals, 2 assists for 10 points. He has been good for the Canadiens, racking up the goals. I mean, that's what you expect. You expected Laine to score, And I think that it's been a way better environment under Laine than it may have been in Columbus. I'm not saying that I agree with the comments that he said. I made that clear in my news video a couple weeks ago. But in this new environment, in a much better environment with the Canadiens, because even though I don't agree with his comments, it's a shade. There was some shady stuff going on there in Columbus. You can't deny it. With the thing with Babcock, Kekalainen wasn't particularly the greatest general manager in the world. I think that under a much better environment in Montreal, things have gotten better for him, and he's obviously improved on the ice because of that. And just seeing him be alongside Caulfield and all those other players has been awesome to watch. It's been awesome. Okay, let's move into the defensemen, starting off with Lane Hutson. Hutson this season, 3 goals, 27 assists for 30 points. As of the time of recording of this video, again, the rookie race is pretty close. There's like 3 rookies separated by like 3 points. It's possible that Hutson might not be what I'm about to say, but he is the leading point scorer of rookies as a defenseman. That is incredibly impressive. And I think people like it's easy to clip a play of Hutson out of just, one of a million. Like I to be honest, I agree. I don't think he is the best he can be defensively, but I think first off, especially as seasons have gone on, he's gotten better. But I also think too he's better than people think he is at playing defense. The advanced analytics don't really say it. I think you have to watch it visually to see how he is on the ice. I think he's a very good defender. I think that definitely he's better offensively than he is defensively. I think maybe he could benefit from, like a really good defensive guy on the other side, like kind of like how Cale Makar is. Again, I just compared Hutson to Makar. But again, I want to say like he could really benefit from a player of like a Devon Tays type on his pairing. And Matheson's been really good. Matheson, 2 goals, 18 assists, 20 points. I feel like last year he put up like a 60-point year. He's been a little bit limited this year. I feel like he's kind of let Hutson take all of the reins, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I think that pairing has been really good. Alex Carrier has come over from the trade with Nashville, which sent Justin Barron over there. Carrier this season is full stats: 1 goal, 11 assists, 12 points. 5 of those assists have been with Montreal. He's been okay. He hasn't been as good as you'd like him to be. But again, I think that Montreal wanted to get a more permanent, more trusted option there on their blue line. Barron wasn't really doing it for them. And then finally, David Savard, 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points. He'll probably stick around. I've heard some things saying that they want to keep him around in Montreal for a little bit longer. He's been there for such a long time. It's kind of weird to think that like he was with Tampa when he won that cup, and he's been with Montreal ever since. It's pretty weird to think. But yeah, those are the guys that really highlighted the blue line for me. Next up, then, the goaltending. The goaltending, I think I need to talk about all 3 goalies because they're all worth talking about. First off, Sam Montembeault, 15, 15, and 2, a 2.95 and a .898. He's been really good in moments. I don't think his numbers really speak that well of how solid he's been this season. I really think he is a good goaltender. I don't think he's necessarily going to be here when this team's contenders because he is, I think 28, 29 years old. So he's a little bit older than some of the other young rookies you would think would be with this team moving forward. But yeah, he's been good so far for the Canadiens for sure. Caden Primo. I'll go to Primo next. He has struggled. He was placed on waivers a couple weeks ago. He is 2-3-1 this season, a 4.7 goals against, and a .836 save percentage. Yeah, it's just been really rough for Primo. Hopefully he will find his game with Laval in the AHL, but it has definitely not been ideal for him in the NHL this season at the very least. And then Jacob Dobes. Again, I mentioned him earlier. He's been tearing it up in the AHL the last couple of seasons, but Dobes comes in, is 2-0 in his 2 games played, has a .48 goals against average, and a .982 save percentage. Again, it's 2 games. It's like what I said with Levi a few years ago, where I was like, don't jump the curb here real quick because it's only been 6 games. But with Dobes, through these 2 games, he's looked terrific. Hopefully that will continue, and who knows, maybe Montreal has found a really good gem goalie there who I didn't even really notice was tearing it up in the AHL, and they got that guy Jacob Fowler in, I think it's Boston University. I'm not entirely sure where he is. I think he's Boston College, but I think he has potential to be their starting goalie in the future. But yeah, maybe Dobes is in there as well. We'll have to see. Again, this is just purely speculation from me. But Do I think this team can make the playoffs? Well, it first off all depends on where they are in March. Like right now, it's a lot to say. Asked about playoffs now because there's still like 3 months of season left. There's still 41 games for most teams to be played. So it's a little bit hard to say it now. First off, though, I would love to see it. I would love to see a new team make the playoffs. It feels like every single season we're seeing the same teams make the playoffs. I would, especially from the Eastern Conference, I would love to see a team like Montreal, who hasn't made it in a couple of years, break in. I just don't know because, again, like the conference is so tight. The race is so tight. I would say, like, literally from the first wild card spot to second or even last in the metro in the conference, like, has a chance at making the playoffs. So we'll have to see where that goes from there. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Does Montreal make the playoffs? Let me know your thoughts on the players on this roster, your thoughts on other players on this roster. Because, again, I didn't go through every player on the roster. It'd just be too long of a video. I just went through the guys who really stood out to me. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please like it down below. If you really liked the video, please subscribe down below as well. I would appreciate that. But anyways, that's it for me. I will see you guys in the next video.